Chapter 20 of the Red Fairy Book. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Recording by Brianna Simmons. The Red Fairy Book by Andrew Lang. Chapter 20. The Ratcatcher. A very long time ago the town of Hamel, Germany, was invaded by bands of rats, the like of which had never been seen before nor will ever be again. They were great black creatures that ran boldly in broad daylight through the streets and swarmed so all over the house that people at last could not put their hand or foot down anywhere without touching one. When dressing in the morning they found them in their breeches and petticoats, in their pockets and in their boots, and when they wanted a morsel to eat the voracious hordes had swept away everything from cellar to garret. The night was even worse. As soon as the lights were out these untiring nibblers set to work, and everywhere, in the ceilings, in the floors, in the cupboards, at the doors, there was a chase and a rummage, and so furious a noise of gimlets, pincers, and saws that a deaf man could not have rested for 1 hour together. Neither cats nor dogs, nor poison nor traps, nor prayers nor candles burnt to all the saints, nothing would do anything. The more they killed the more came, and the inhabitants of Hamel began to go to the dogs, not that they were of much use. When one Friday there arrived in town a man with a queer face, who played the bagpipes and sang this refrain: Qui vivra verra le voya le preneur des rats. He was a great gawky fellow, dry and bronzed, with a crooked nose and a long rat-tail moustache, 2 great yellow piercings, and mocking eyes under a large felt hat set off by a scarlet cock's feather. He was dressed in a green jacket with a leather belt and red breeches, and on his feet were sandals fastened by thongs passed round his legs in the gipsy fashion. That is how he may be seen to this day, painted in a window of the Cathedral of Hamel. He stopped on the great market-place before the town hall, turned his back on the church, and went on with his music, singing: Who lives shall see, this is he, the Ratcatcher. The town council had just assembled to consider once more this plague of Egypt from which no one could save the town. The stranger sent word to the councillors that, if they would make it worth his while, he would rid them of all their rats before night, down to the very last. "Then he is a sorcerer!" cried the citizens with one voice. "We must beware of him." The town councillor, who was considered clever, reassured them. He said, sorcerer or no, if this bagpiper speaks the truth, it was he who sent us this horrible vermin, and he wants to rid us to-day for money. Well, we must learn to catch the devil in his own snares. You leave it to me. "Leave it to the town councillor," said the citizens one to another, and the stranger was brought before them. "Before night," said he, "I shall have dispatched all the rats in Hamel, if you will but pay me a gros a head." "A gros a head!" cried the citizens, "but that will come to millions of florins." The town councillor simply shrugged his shoulders and said to the stranger: "A bargain. To work. The rats will be paid 1 gros a head, as you ask." The bagpiper announced that he would operate that very evening when the moon rose. He added that the inhabitants should look at that hour, leave the streets free, and content themselves with looking out of their windows at what was passing, and that it would be a pleasant spectacle. When the people of Hamel heard of the bargain, they too exclaimed, "A gros a head, but this will cost us a deal of money." "Leave it to the town councillor," said the town council with a malicious air, and the good people of Hamel repeated with their councillors, "Leave it to the town councillor." Towards 9 at night the bagpiper reappeared in the market. He turned, as at first, his back to the church, and the moment the moon rose on the horizon, tra tra, tra tra, the bagpipes resounded. It was first a slow caressing sound, then more and more lively and urgent, and so sonorous and piercing that it penetrated as far as the farthest alleys and retreats of the town. Soon from the bottom of the cellars, the top of the garrets, from under all the furniture, from all the nooks and corners of the houses, out came the rats, search for the door, fling themselves into the street, and trip, 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 began to run in file towards the front of the town hall, so squeezed together that they covered the pavement like the waves of flooded torrent. When the square was quite full the bagpiper faced about, and still playing briskly turned towards the river that runs at the foot of the walls of Hamel. Arrived there he turned round. The rats were following. "Hop, hop!" he cried, pointing with his finger to the middle of the stream, where the water whirled and was drawn down as if through a funnel. And hop, hop, without hesitating, the rats took the leap, swam straight to the funnel, plunged in head foremost, and disappeared. The plunging continued thus without ceasing till midnight. At last, dragging himself with difficulty, came a big rat, white with age, and stopped at the bank. It was the king of the band. "Are they all there, friend Blanchet?" asked the bagpiper. "They are all there," replied the friend Blanchet. "And how many were they?" 990,999. "Well reckoned, well reckoned. Then go and join them, old sire. Au revoir." Then the old white rat sprang in his turn into the river, swam to the whirlpool, and disappeared. When the bagpiper had thus concluded his business, he went to bed at his inn, and for the first time during 3 months the people of Hamel slept quietly throughout the night. The next morning at 9 o'clock the bagpiper repaired to the town hall where the town council awaited him. "All your rats took a jump into the river yesterday," said he to the councillors, "and I guarantee that not one of them comes back. They were 990,999 at 1 gras a head. Reckon." "Let us reckon the heads first. 1 gras a head is 1 head the gras. Where are the heads?" The Ratcatcher did not expect this treacherous stroke. He paled with anger and his eyes flashed with fire. "The heads!" cried he. "If you care about them, go and find them in the river." "So," replied the town councillor, "you refuse to hold to the terms of your agreement? We ourselves could refuse you all payment, but you have been of use to us, and we will not let you go without a recompense." He offered him 50 crowns. "Keep your recompense for yourself," replied the Ratcatcher proudly. "If you do not pay me, I will be paid by your heirs." Thereupon he pulled his hat down over his eyes, went hastily out of the hall, and left the town without speaking to a soul. When the Hamel people heard how the affair had ended, they rubbed their hands, and with no more scruple than their town councillor, they laughed over the Ratcatcher, who, they said, was caught in his own trap. But what made them laugh above all was his threat of getting himself paid by their heirs. Ha! They wished they only had such creditors for the rest of their lives. Next day, which was a Sunday, they all went gaily to the church, thinking that after Mass they would at last be able to eat some good thing that the rats had not tasted before them. They never suspected the terrible surprise that awaited them on their return home. No children anywhere, they had all disappeared. "Our children! Where are our poor children?" was the cry that was soon heard in all the streets. Then through the east door of the town came 3 little boys, who cried and wept, and this is what they told. While the parents were at church a wonderful music had resounded. Soon all the little boys and all the little girls that had been left at home had gone out, attracted by the magic sounds, and had rushed to the great market-place. There they found the Ratcatcher playing his bagpipes at the same spot as the evening before. Then the stranger had begun to walk quickly, and they had followed, running, singing, and dancing to the sound of the music as far as the foot of the mountain which one sees on entering Hamel. At their approach the mountain had opened a little, and the bagpiper had gone in with them, after which it had closed again. Only the 3 little ones who told the adventures had remained outside, as if by a miracle. One was bandy-legged and could not run fast enough. The other, who had left the house in haste, one foot shod, the other bare, had hurt himself against a big stone, and could not walk without difficulty. The third had arrived in time, but in hurrying to go in with the others had struck so violently against the wall of the mountain that he fell backwards at the moment it closed upon his comrades. At this story the parents redoubled their lamentations. They ran with pikes and mattocks to the mountain, and searched till evening to find the opening by which their children had disappeared.